Hello and welcome to episode 100 of Dadas show since its revamp, and we are coming to you from the historically significant Chester Hotel and Suites. And as always, I am your host, Ashiko Mbone. Now, as our name suggests, the Dadas show aspires to promote the spirit of sisterhood and solidarity. And for the past 100 episodes, we have been doing it by creating an open and a safe platform for women to discuss issues pertaining to their health and well-being, their lifestyle, their work, their families, and anything that affects them in one way or another. We have also taken time to celebrate and acknowledge formidable women who are doing big things, not only for themselves, but for their community, and especially for women and girls of this great nation. The long school holidays are here with us. To most parents, they're excited. They've been looking forward to this moment all year round. But to other parents, this moment brings forth feelings of uncertainty and anxiety. And you may ask yourself why. Now, according to research that we carried out as the Dadas Show team, we found that some parents were concerned with leaving their children unsupervised, and they feared that the children will engage in very risky behaviors such as drug abuse, crime, and even illicit sex. Other parents were also concerned that due to the pressures of everyday living, they may not get enough time to actually bond with their children. These are some of the reasons that we felt necessary to dedicate this particular episode of Dada's show to parents who are at home wondering, what are we going to do with our children, and what can we do, what can we help? And we have brought forth a team of experts who are going to help us navigate the next 2 months of this holiday so that we can have a harmonious and peaceful time with our children. So who am I talking about? You'll have to wait till after the break. Now remember, you can always get in touch with us across all social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. You can also reach me directly at Ashiko, the host, across all social media platforms. We are also very excited to announce that we have recently launched a Facebook page at Dadas Show KBC, where you can reach us directly. You can talk to us, give us feedback. What has been your highlight for the past 100 episodes? What has been the things that you wish would do better? How can we change so that we can be able to properly articulate the issues of the women and girls within this great nation? Before we get into session, let's take a look at the following feature.
The Ministry of Education releases school academic calendar for each year. The 2024 school academic calendar for pre-primary, primary, secondary school and teachers training colleges showed that schools will proceed for the December holiday from October 2024 to January 2025 for 10 weeks. According to the Ministry of Education, the school holidays enable students to relax and socialize, bond and fraternize with the family and the community they have come from. During the long holiday, discussions and bonding between parents and children should be given a priority. The lengthy school holiday kicked off with students taking a break to pave way for the national examinations. The long holiday, however, brings both various challenges and advantages the parents and students must be ready to face. Many parents who are used to teachers taking charge of the young ones are feeling the heat, with some wondering how to handle the pressure. Their worry comes from the fact that the young ones spend most of their time in school, so being home throughout is assured to come with several confrontations. The holiday provides a golden chance for the young ones to learn skills the education system does not provide, and also an opportunity to further their talents, be it in sports, music, artistry, or any other field. Some experts have advised against giving a lot of homework to learners during the school holiday, arguing that it will only extend the school to the home environment. Less homework gives room for children to engage in other activities such as reading storybooks and learn other skills. Instead, parents should use that time to nurture talents and other skills instead of letting the children stay idle. Parents should also monitor their children's interaction so as to reduce the chance of the children being introduced to drugs and other harmful behaviors. Some children, on the other hand, feel anxious because their routine gets seriously overturned, while others look forward to rest. Experts urge parents to maintain some of the routine over the holidays. To make it through the long holidays, experts urge that both parents and children should communicate openly with each other. For Dadas Show, my name is Miriam Odanga.
Welcome back. As I mentioned, this is the 100th episode of Dadas Show after our revamp. And we are so excited that you have walked with us this whole journey, that you have tuned in every single Sunday to sit with us as we discuss contentious issues that affect the women and girls of this great nation. We truly appreciate you. Now, remember, the topic of the day is how do we keep peace these long holidays? We mentioned earlier that some parents are completely anxious, others are excited. So how do we go about taking care of our children, fulfilling our responsibilities, at the same time enjoying our holidays? So as mentioned, I am joined by a team of experts who have dedicated their life to actually ensuring that parents and children and members of society get along as they should. So right next to me, I have a family therapist, Victoria Kedemi. So karibu sana, Victoria.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to hearing what your insights are and the kind of advice that you'll give us and most parents and children who are watching us from home. Next to her, we've got a counseling psychologist and a teen mentor, Ivana Wawero. Thank you so much for joining us. We truly appreciate you. I would also want to acknowledge my wonderful audience who take time week in, week out to sit with us as we discuss issues that affect us in one way or another. So to get the ball rolling, let's get an opportunity to actually meet our experts. We've talked about experts who are going to tell us how we are going to navigate the next 2 months of the holidays with our kids home. Why are they experts? But let's get an opportunity to hear straight from the horse's mouth. So karibu sana, Vicky Kedemi. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your connection to today's topic.
Happy 100th anniversary on your show. We celebrate you. Maybe the audience can clap on that one. Thank you. Thank you. We celebrate what you're doing. My name is Vicky Kidemi. I am a family and marriage therapist. I got into this when I was teaching. I recently retired, actually in August. So I've been teaching for the last 29 years.
Yes.
And what I saw in class, especially Monday mornings.
Yes.
I don't know why Monday mornings and after the holidays, when children would come back to school and they are really so happy to come back to school. And you could tell from some of the pictures they drew that something wasn't going on very well at home. So that got me in the space where I was constantly counseling parents.
Yes.
And so, and I realized that that was a passion that I had in me, to see the children happy, because you can't teach unhappy children.
Absolutely.
And so with that, then I went ahead and got a master's degree in marriage and family therapy.
Yes.
That I'm really enjoying.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to add my voice to yours and many others, and even our audience and parents out there, just to encourage them and normalize what they could be going through. I'm a mother of two. I'm a married mother of two Gen Z.
Yes.
And it's been an exciting journey, sometimes very scary. I think parenting is a very high calling that needs all of us to come together to support one another.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
That's really well put. Thank you so much, Vicky. And we feel like we're in safe hands. Don't we feel like we're in safe hands, Because you've gotten both of the, you've gotten a touch of both, because you've seen the real life experience and now you've actually just capped it off with the expertise. So asante sana, Vicky, for making time, and we look forward to engaging with you as we proceed with the show. Ivana, tell us a little bit about yourself and your connection to today's conversation.
All right, thank you, Ashiko, and congratulations on 100 episodes.
Wow.
I think that's a lot, and I'm inspired, and good job to you and your team.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so my name is Ivana, and I have a background in counseling psychology, and I'm also a teen mentor. And you would ask why teens? Because I was a teen mom. Once upon a time, I was a teen mom, and it was a very hard time for me. And when I was going through that, I went through a lot during my pregnancy. Of course, it was unexpected for me and also for my family. And as I went through that stage of teen pregnancy, I realized that apart from what I'm going through, I can help others go through the same. And I started my diploma and degree in counseling when I was 7 months pregnant.
Oh, wow.
And I have never felt at home more than that time.
Yes.
Because I was like, yeah, your feelings matter. You know, everything that I longed to hear every time I was younger. And why I mentor teens is because I believe if a teen gets the support they need, if a teen gets the love they need, they will not end up in places where I ended up. Yeah, and so for me, I'm always trying to help teens feel loved, supported, and make the best decisions they can possibly make. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And as I promised you, we definitely have you covered, parents at home, children at home. If you're all wondering how are we going to navigate these holidays, then be sure to actually stay tuned to the rest of the show. So let's jump on to our first question. We started off by saying that some parents have been looking forward to this the whole year. You know, you've been looking forward, you've got holidays planned, you've got this planned, you're like, oh, I can't wait for December holidays. You'll go see the grandparents, you'll go travel, you'll stay home. Sometimes even just to stay home and bond with your children, okay? Then there's some parents who actually feel a lot of anxiety, a lot of uncertainty. Are these feelings justified? Because we did our research and we were finding cases where some parents, some mothers especially, would be feeling guilty. They would be sitting down thinking to themselves, you know, am I failing as a mother because I am very anxious to have, you know, my Gen Zs at home, or am I very anxious to have the young ones at home? You know, are these feelings justified from a psychological point of view? And even a follow-up to that, what other challenges, aside from what we addressed at the beginning of the show, are being faced during the school holidays? Yeah.
Those feelings are expected.
Yes.
And the reason why this is expected is, one, the parent will feel anxious because of where the parent is coming from. They look at themselves and maybe they don't feel well equipped
Yes.
to be the parent that this child needs.
Yes.
Where will that be? First off, let me say that conflict isn't a very bad thing. You know, sometimes we look at that conflict, even if it's on self, like it is a bad thing. Conflict isn't a bad thing because that conflict acts like a mirror.
Yes.
That shows you who you are. And you see, when you look at a mirror and maybe you have that on your face, you don't throw away the mirror, neither do you hit the mirror.
Yes.
Neither do you go and wash the mirror.
You clean your face.
You clean your face.
Yes.
So where the parents are right now, it's a good thing because then it shows them who they are and probably what they need to do about that anxiety they are feeling. And then with that, then comes growth.
Yes.
Yeah, because conflict then will bring mirroring, showing them who they are, and then growth, which will make them better parents. The other thing that a parent could be feeling like that because of where they were, where they're coming from, how they were parented.
Yes.
And our parents, well, they didn't know so much. They didn't live in an era of knowledge like we do. And some of the things that our parents did were not very good. And I'm not here to shame and say they weren't good.
Yes.
They did the best with what they had.
Yes.
But when you have a parent who's stressed and they're throwing an iron at a child, or they have tied the child and made them to sleep outside with the dogs because, you know, that bordered on abuse.
Yes.
And some of the parents went through that. So when they think about themselves being parents and they think of how they were parented, then they get anxious. But the fact of the matter is we parent the way we were parented. So it's very easy to bring on what they saw their parents do into their family situations right now, and that will get them to be anxious.
Yes.
So when such a realization comes, and that is called awareness. And awareness is good because then awareness, when somebody is aware of what is going on, then they can be able to make the right change.
Exactly.
And so the parents, we can say, yeah, you'll be anxious because of where you're coming from and what you have seen and what that which wasn't good that you can improve on. But the other thing about awareness is that you're able to make a choice. You know, with awareness, you can be able to make that choice. What are you going to do with this awareness? So parents, yes, it's normal to feel anxious when your children are coming home, but what are you going to do about it? The other thing that will bring anxiety is that parents don't know themselves.
Yes.
You know, what is your personality as a parent? What is your temperament? How are you raised? What abuse, what mother wounds and father wounds do you have that you want to interrupt so that you don't pass them on to your
children,
child
yes.
and to your children? Yeah, you know. So once you know yourself, then you can make the right adjustments that need to be done. The other thing is parenting styles.
Yes.
You know, some parenting styles, even maybe there's a parent who doesn't know that they are parenting styles. We have authoritative, and this is the ideal. This is a parent who is involved with their child. They have time for dialogue. They affirm the child. They are there for their children to discipline and to guide, and they bring up a very responsible adult.
Yes.
Then we have permissive. Permissive parent, just happy-go-lucky. Do what you want,
do
child.
what you want to
You
do.
know,
Yes.
parent yourself.
Yes.
The parent gives everything. The child has never had no. And then the child grows up very confused because structure is very good
And
for
very
children.
entitled.
And very entitled.
Yes.
Then we are going to have a problem in the society. Then we have an authoritative parent, and this one is on the other end, that is very bossy. They're all rules. It's like you're in the army.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
the child has no voice. This parent has no time for dialogue.
I think
It's-
most of us grew up with that one. Yes.
Yeah, my dad was that one.
Yeah.
You know, you do as I say. I have a friend who unhinged his children's doors because it is my house, you know, and I'm the one who's paying rent in this house, and
And we shall not have doors.
doors doors closed,
Yes.
you know. And so there's that one, and that works in early childhood, but along the way that will not work.
Yes.
Then we have this other parent who's neglectful, who is not there. There's no discipline, there are no boundaries, there's nothing. This child just grows up. And that also brings up a very depressed child.
Yes.
And so when you look at that, then the parent then will be anxious because they are not well equipped. They have no awareness to help them deal with the child. Then we have all these many other reasons that we even mentioned.
Yes.
that will cause the parent to be anxious. So yes, they are justified to be anxious, but on the other hand, as much as with parenting, there is no school you go to per se. I mean, to get here where I am at, I've gone to different schools. But with
Yes.
parenting, we expect it to just work.
Yeah.
That isn't true. We need to be well equipped. So for that parent, I would say equip yourself. And we are in the knowledgeable age. At the tip of your fingers, you have all this knowledge that you need. So it is not all that bad. As much as you're feeling anxious, there's something you can do about it.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm so happy to hear that, especially when we're talking about equip yourself. So that is definitely why we are here for you today as parents and guardians, grandparents, aunties, uncles. If you're feeling anxious, this is definitely the episode for you. So I'll still go back to you. What are the challenges? Ivana, what are some of the challenges that young adults, we've talked about parents are worried about, am I going to be able to provide for my children? Am I going to be able to structure them? Am I going to be able, give them activities to do? What am I going to do? Now let's flip over to children, more so maybe young adults. You deal with them a lot. What are some of the challenges that they face during the school holidays?
I'd like to summarize it in one challenge. So mostly parents end up deciding what they want for their kids to do. So they come from a place where I'm the parent, I know what I want you to do, and you're going to do it. And so children feel frustrated, they don't feel seen, they don't feel heard, and they don't feel like they're involved in the decision making of what they're supposed to do during the holiday. So it's important if the children are involved in the decision making of what they're supposed to do, and also feeling like the parents understand who they are. So when you're making a decision as a parent, do you think about who your child is? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What are the things they enjoy doing more? So I think it's important for the children to feel, most of the time they feel like they're not heard.
Yes.
They're not involved, and what they're being told to do, they don't enjoy. You know, even if it's dishes, if you're telling a child, wash the dishes, maybe they'd like to do it after they wake up at 12. at noon, and
Yeah.
then they've taken their breakfast, and then maybe at 4 o'clock they're going to wash the dishes. So if maybe the parent wants the dishes washed, how about asking this teenager, what time can you wash the dishes? I want them washed by the end of the day. So I think teenagers and young adults just feel like things are just being thrown in their face without them being involved in the actual process, and that hurts them a lot and makes them feel that their identity is lost in between their parents' parenting style and their parents' expectations. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much. Actually, you're having one of those light bulb moments, and I'm thinking, as you are at home watching this episode, and you've already planned all these things for your teenagers, especially for your young adults. We are talking where the children, the young adults and teenagers are actually cognizant of what is happening, so they are aware. They know what they want. They know what they do not want. One of the solutions that Ivana has already just offered is involve them and learn how to make compromises. You're not dealing with a toddler anymore.
Yeah.
You're dealing with somebody who has all the faculties, who can be able, yes, they're still growing, but wherever they have reached, they have the capacity to know, this is what I actually like doing, this is what I want. Of course, if it's within the confines of logic, so thank you so much. Let's actually remain there in terms of solutions. What are some of the habits that parents should practice? We've talked about all this, so we've already gotten to the stage of we are anxious. We've decided what are we going to do about it. We've already seen this is where my anxiety is delving into, and of course, since Rome was not built in a day, what are some of the habits and practices that parents and guardians should put in place so that they can actually start promoting, a harmonious environment for their kids?
I like that question. One of the things parents should do is change their mindsets. Like I said, we parent the way we were parented. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes.
And the bad and the ugly, most of the times, because that one is easy to just execute, because we are human.
Yeah.
And so parents need to change that mindset and realize that they are not parenting their generation. We are parenting a different generation that is there to be seen and to be heard.
To be heard, exactly.
It is the children now are there to across all ages. They are there
Yes.
to be seen and to be heard. Ashiko, I don't know which generation you grew up in, but in my
No,
generation,
ours we were for being seen.
yeah.
Ours we were just for
You
being
know?
seen and stashed somewhere in
You
the
know?
corner of the.
Yes.
So we are together on that one.
There are things.
Yeah.
There are things you would not even dare ask your parent why.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now we close school and you're told now we are going to the rural.
Shaggy.
Yes, you're
Actually,
going to
week
Shags.
one.
And you wouldn't even dare say, Ati, no, I had plans. I mean, you wouldn't even, it would be here. You would not even think it.
Yes.
But with the children today, they'll ask why. Where are we going? There's no Wi-Fi.
Yeah, there's no
there's-
Wi-Fi.
Where are we going?
There's no this. And in turn, the parents immediately feel that these children are so entitled. But I
Exactly.
love what you're saying. You're
Exactly.
parenting a different
A
generation.
different
Carry
generation.
on.
So when parents need to change and shift their minds and realize that when the child is asking why, they are not being rude.
And they're not being defined.
They are not being defiant. They just want to understand. And once you make them understand, and they'll have a lot of questions, once you help them understand and even teach them how to ask that why. Because like for me personally, what I told the children is the tone and the language being used should be respectful.
Yes.
Then we can then dialogue,
Absolutely, yes.
So parents need to change that mind shift and realize that we are parenting a generation that is there to be seen or to be heard and to be heard.
And to be heard.
And then also collaborate. Ivana talked about it. Collaboration works very well with this generation, where you're not just putting your rules on them and telling them what they are going to do. Sit down, agree,
Have a conversation.
have a conversation. Schools are closing, so what do we do? Hear their opinions, their what they would want to do, and collaborate. Yeah, you're still the parent. You're not leaving the children to parent themselves like they're an involved parent. No, you're coming up with solutions for everybody, so that now when we are going to go for the neck for 1 week, you'll not be dragging people who, if they
are
could,
moody, they are angry.
yes.
And then the cousins Unishago say, Aki hawa Nairobi wanaringanga.
Yeah.
Kumbe that time they just did not want. They wanted.
They are not happy.
Yeah, they're not happy.
They are not happy. And then the other thing when parents do that is that you remove the decision making from your child. And so now when they're adults, they will not make those decisions because you taught them not to make decisions. You know,
Wow.
you didn't involve them.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is extremely profound. I don't even think it had ever hit me like that, that if we're constantly making decisions, especially for our young adults, then they're not going to be free thinkers.
No.
You're not giving them any reason to take initiative.
No, you've taken
To
it
even
away
be
from them.
creative
And even be
in their
autonomous.
thought process, and
Yeah.
even to be autonomous.
Yeah.
Wow. I really hope you at home are learning a thing or two or 10 like I am. So thank you so much for that. What are some of the solutions? Now tumeongea mingi sana kuhusu wazazi. But it takes two to tango.
Yeah.
So what are some of the solutions? What are some of the habits? What are some of the practices? If there's a teenager over here who's sitting down and is watching the show with the guardians or the parents, what are some of the things that they should also put in place so that we can all be able to coexist with love and harmony?
I think the first thing would be to understand who they are. They need to understand themselves. And the first step to that is doing a personality test. If you're a teenager or young adult, you're in a position to do a personality test. I like what Vicky was saying about parents doing it for themselves.
Yes.
But I think also kids, because that will help you learn how to communicate your needs, understand your needs. Because if you're a teenager, young adult, and you're not expressing yourself, or you're expressing yourself in a way that is triggering to your parents, you will always fight. And so it's important to learn as a teenager or a young adult, how can I express myself in a way where I'm understood? How can I express myself in a way where I'm not putting a lot inside and then bursting out and then getting angry and then doing other things out there. And so it's important to understand who you are, understand your emotions. If you need to journal, write them down. If you need to talk to someone, talk to someone. But your job as a teenager or as a young person is to understand what's going on inside and expressing it outside in a way that is constructive for you and the people you're trying to collaborate with, especially your parents.
Yes.
Because if your parents understand you, they'll be able to come to your level. But if they don't understand you and you're always fighting, then it becomes a challenge. So I think that's the first thing. And then also choosing your friends and choosing your atmosphere.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think most of the times you'll hear young people say, those people don't want to stay with me, those people are not, they don't like me, they don't, but again, do you like them? Stop asking yourself what people feel about you and now ask yourself, what do I feel about this?
Them, yeah.
Yeah. Give yourself importance, give yourself love and realize that no one has to choose you. You can choose yourself and choose who you want, you know?
Wow. Yeah.
And so stop making it like a situation where you're a victim. Sometimes young people find themselves in a victim situation where my parents don't love me, my parents. If you're in the same situation and you're reacting the way you're reacting, your parent and you're the parent, what would happen? You know, sometimes it's good to leave your shoes and then walk and think, okay, yeah, I mean, I was rude, I was not speaking, I was not expressing what's going on, so my dad, my mom, yeah, they just shouted at me and they ignored me.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to be ignored, express yourself, show up. I mean, it might be uncomfortable, but it's important for people to understand you. And you cannot be understood if you don't understand yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, you might be a child, but you have to understand yourself. And after you're 18, or even as you get to 18, it's important to take responsibility for what's happening. Stop saying, oh, my parents were toxic. I mean, I think I found myself in the same situation when I got pregnant, and I would say the first few therapy sessions I went for were about how my mom was the problem. You know, she was the one who affected me. She was toxic. I didn't grow up with a dad. You know, I had all those stories. I was the victim.
Yes.
But then when you wake up and realize, yeah, I mean, what could she have done? She was a single mom. She was
did the best she
frustrated.
could,
Yeah. And she did what she could. So the thing you need to realize is take responsibility. And the moment I took responsibility, my life was smooth, you know? People would be like, yeah, you know, you're doing so well as a young person. And for me, that's what I would want young people to realize. Take responsibility. You have the power. Whether you're 15, if your mom is however she is, your dad is however they are, you can cope with that. It's hard for them to change, but it's easy for you to decide what you want for yourself and, you know, organize them around what you want.
Yes.
It's easier that way
Yes.
than saying, oh, my mom, I don't like my mom. Don't complain, just decide what you want. Express yourself in a way that can be understood and make sure you're understood.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, from there it will be easier to make sure your parents are there. They are able to, even, because you see, parents want to be there for you. no matter what they seem like, they want to, but you have to express that to them. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, Ivana. And I love that. So I like the thing about taking responsibility. And I think some of the fights that we have in my house is taking responsibility. It's always somebody else's fault. It's always, and I feel like, first of all, acknowledging and taking responsibility and saying, okay, fine, then this was on me. I think more and more parents are actually coming on board with the idea that this is a generation that's not just seen. This is a generation that is seen and heard. So I think most homesteads, parents are actually being very intentional with having conversations with their kids. There's something you said that should dictate that tone. You said it should be tone and
the speech.
The tone and the speech.
And even the non-verbal.
And the non-verbals, especially.
Yeah.
So let's move on to our next question of the day. During our poll and our research, we found that some of the very important things was activities. The school holidays. And by activities, wamesema si kuenda ushago. What are some of the productive activities young people can engage in during the school holidays? I'll start off with you, Ivana, and then I'll finish off with you, Vicky.
The most important thing to first check is what is your child interested in? Because you might always go and say, okay, I want my child to be a swimmer, I want my child to be a footballer, but what if they don't like it? So if they like music, try and find a guitar school, whatever they like, yeah? Yes. And so it's good first to look from your child and always make a decision from what your child likes or what they're interested in. And then from there, you move from there. So if they're a physical person, you can go into swimming, you can go into football, you can go into karate. There are so many things online, and I think digital space has made it so much easier. If you're in an area, just Google the activity you want and the area. Also mentorship, like what I was trying to say before, is sometimes the internal space of your child, your young adult or your teenager, sometimes is not as positive as well. Sometimes you say parents are toxic, but even children can be toxic to some level, or everyone can be toxic, yeah? And so it's important for your child to receive some mentorship of some level where they're able to go and learn how to manage their own internal space, their external space, how they show up to their parents, to their friends, how the choices they make. Because in mentorship, instead of therapy, I think mentorship is more in terms of even the social skills development, where they're able to interact with other kids their age and learn how to become more social. When they go back to school, they're able to even know how to talk to people, how to deal with conflict. When someone gossips about them, what should they do? Yes. When their friend doesn't like them, is not talking to them, what should they do? So I believe mentorship, but also physical activity is amazing because we all have emotions deep inside, and when you engage your child in a physical activity, whichever it is, it always gets out. So if it's football, your boy might be an angry boy with some things going on, but when
there's a place to channel all that energy.
Yeah, without even talking, you know, because sometimes talking is hard. Talking is, you look for someone, you're like, okay, who do I talk to? My mom doesn't look like she listen. I mean, they try and find. So physical activity is good to just get it out there. And the other thing is also, if they're maybe a more reflective person, find things for them to do. So if it's art, whatever they like to do, just find it for them. But the guiding tool will be that child. Yeah, look for the way. This child, how are they? Can they do this? Can they do that? Yeah, so like for me, I know my son art. I used to see many art things, sip and paint, but so he's more football. So you realize your child, you have to look at them. Don't look at what you think is good. Yeah.
Wow, that's really, I think you've given so many of our parents some food for thought, you know. But let's go back to that same question, Toka. What is actually the importance of keeping your children engaged? Be it through the activities she's talking about, be it through mentorship, be it through one thing or another. What is the importance of keeping the children engaged? And then we will take a break.
To be a student of their child, so that you know your child. And why is it important for you to name their time? I've said naming the time because unstructured time has no name.
Yes.
In school, the time has a name. The bell rings, it's parade. The bell rings, it's math. The bell rings, it's chemistry. In semester, whatever time I'm supposed to be at such a place.
Yes.
But now when the time has no name, then the child will find creative ways of naming their
it.
time.
Yes.
And that time may not be conducive. It may not be very helpful. So it is important that the children are just not left to their own devices. Yes, you're collaborating with them as a parent so that you structure the time and you name the time. So that you wake up, you do this, you wake up and do this. And let me mention something. For the teenagers, why they sleep longer is because of the growing up time, whatever is happening in their body, they get very tired.
Yeah.
So that's why they'll want to sleep longer.
Yes.
So it's agreeing, don't wake up at 2 p.m., but you can wake up at 9.
Yes.
Because at school they've been waking up at 4 p.m., something like that, you know. So as much as the parent is working with the child to name their time, there should be activities that, one, will not just be a screen time. Because that we are seeing, it is good, it has its good sides and its bad sides, but for some of the children, it's really messing them up.
Yes.
And so because as a parent, you don't want to come and regret why the child was out there loitering by himself or herself, then it is important for that time to be named, where you're contributing and the child is also contributing, so that the child is kept conducively busy.
Yes.
So that they are not just left to their own devices.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So I really love the conversation that we're having here. And I also hope even you at home are learning a thing or two about how, you know, we can all get along these holidays, how we can come out of it, and, you know, the kids will be happier, they'll be more productive, they will be more aware, and you will also be very happy, so that every single holiday could be a learning experience and a growth experience for all families. So we're going to take a small break and we will be right back with a question and answer session. Don't go far away. Welcome back to Dadas Show. Remember, our topic of conversation today is keeping the peace at this school holiday. And of course, we've gotten some wonderful insights on how we can get along better with our kids and how kids can get along better with their guardians or their parents. So it's time for our question and answer session, where we give our lovely audience an opportunity to ask questions, give feedback, and you know, interact with our panel. Remember, when we're speaking of feedback, kindly get in touch with us if you have any of that. Across all social media platforms at KBC Channel 1, or on our newly launched Facebook page at Dadas Show KBC, or on my personal pages, which is Ashiko the host, across all social media platforms. So let's get the ball rolling with our first question of the day, which is from Robbie. Robbie, karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Ashiko. Now my question would be to Ivana. I love what you've said about parents should be able to understand their children so that they cannot pressure them to do things that they don't feel like. So my question would be, what is your advice to maybe that teen or young adult who's find themselves in a position where they are getting pressured by their parents to do what they do not like? Yes, thank you.
Excellent question. Ivana?
So one thing I'll say, as I was saying before, the advantages of doing mentorship is understanding your own emotions and also creating your own atmosphere emotionally. And so what I'd say, I know your parents can pressure you, but that's their pressure. Yeah. So when you receive pressure from your parents, it's up to you to sieve it out and say, okay, they want me to perform well, they want me to do this, they want me to do this. What can I do? What can I not do? And it's okay to let them pressure themselves, and then you create your own atmosphere or your own weather. Because the moment you take their pressure, who's happy or who's benefiting? No one. You're both having pressure. If you get any mental health issue, they're the ones who are going to be frustrated. They're like, oh, my child needs therapy, my child doesn't talk anymore. So for me, I always say, take responsibility of your mental health, take responsibility of your atmosphere. If your parent is an anxious parent, because they're there, how can you make sure that you don't carry on that anxiety, that you don't take it up? listen to what they're saying. Ask yourself, what can I do? It might seem like you don't care, but listen to them and tell them, okay, I will. Or you say whatever you have to say. But it's up to you to decide what you take from your parents and what you don't take. Again, when things become bad, they're going to blame you. Yeah, they're going to say, why did you fail? And say, it's because you pressured me. You think they want to know that? No. So it's important for you to take a break from, or rather sieve out what your parents give you, whether it's good or bad. And it's very important. It might seem like it's impossible, but our parents are also human beings. They have good and bad. So it's very important for you to early on realize that your parents are human. Not everything they give you might be good. It's good to sieve it out. And also not because you don't want to, don't be rude to them. Don't sieve it out like, Mom, I'm not listening to you. No, listen, take what you have to do, what you can do, what is within your control, and what is not within your control, don't do it.
I'm asking you at home, young people, always, when you feel like there's no way out, always there is a way out. There's always somebody who is there to listen to you, who is there who will offer you a helping hand. Reach out to a close cousin, a close relative, a neighbor, and say, you know what, my parents are doing ABCD, and I genuinely feel like I need some intervention. And who knows, you can have a forum where you can be able to talk and a solution will be found. But please, no matter what, do not despair. There's definitely help coming your way. So asante sana, Robbie, and thank you so much, Ivana. I hope your question has been answered. Excellent. So our next question of the day is from Jessie.
Thank you, Ashiko. My question goes to you, Vicky. How can parents be proactive in terms of setting expectations? Because one of the ways where there's usually a conflict is because there's unmet expectations or a lot of assumptions. So what would you advise parents to do in terms of setting expectations?
Yeah, that's an excellent. I think that's a wonderful question, and most of the people are experiencing that. So how do parents go about setting the proper expectations, especially when it comes to the school holidays, and what is going to be done and what will be rewarded? Yeah.
Thank you, Jessie. That's a very good question. Number one, I would say everybody should manage the expectations so that you're not over-expecting something that cannot be done. But then again, assumptions undermine relationships, even parent-child relationships. By child here, I'm talking about the little child, the adolescent, the young adult, that group. And so parents need to be vulnerable and talk to their children about affairs, about things. Affairs meaning that, yes, whatever is happening in the house. Because if you can't afford a trip to Paris, I should not sit there and expect my children to know that we can't afford it. I should be able to communicate it to them. And then say, you know, we can't afford a trip to Paris, but we can afford one to Machakos, People's Park, you know, and my children, and hear their reactions and get to know which children are ungrateful among my children, because even children have those things in them as well. And then that becomes a teachable moment. So the children and the parents should both be vulnerable, speak out, and that again will go back to the collaboration. And this can start even from just having dinner together.
Yes.
You know, where we are sharing our day, we are sharing how the day was, and from then on, these things will crop up, and then we can keep talking about them without the assumptions and without over-expecting. And then when the expectations are not met, there's desperation, and now we see people getting hurt and self-harming. And then the atmosphere in the home is so cold. Nobody wants to be in that house. So managing expectations, vulnerability, collaboration, and that conversation needs to happen without assumptions.
Excellent. Wow, that was really, really well put. So we're going to move on to our next question of the day, and that is from Jewel.
Thank you, Ashiko. My question goes out to Vicky. I heard you talking about the different parenting styles, and you talked about being authoritative. And we all know authoritative parents, extremely authoritative parents, the way they are. They're so strict, and there's this saying that says that the more you're strict to your child, unamkataza afanye vitu mingi, the more anaendelea ku grow up, when the child actually gets that freedom, the child will now start experimenting different things. Sometimes they're bad things, and the child, if it's a girl, she can end up coming home pregnant because she never got that kind of exposure. So my actual question is, when it comes to, let's say, allowing your child to experience things, to what degree should a parent allow his or her child to experience things?
Thank you, Jewel, for that question. Back to the parenting styles. Authoritative is a good one. That's a good parent. That's the one who has time for the child, will want to talk to them. Authoritarian is the one that is Jeshi, doesn't listen, it's do as I say and not as I do. And in my house, things will be done in a certain way. And then we have the permissive one, no boundaries, no discipline, no guidance. Then the neglectful one, the same. The child just parents themselves. So there's a need for freedom, and freedom that is given in small doses.
Yes.
Because like you said, when this person finds themselves in uni with all this freedom, no information, no guidance, no conversation of, you have time to go to school and being allowed to make decisions, and the child choosing, as a child choosing to make, small things like even choosing what to wear. That's a decision a child makes, and that's freedom. So the freedom should be given in small doses with guidance as the child grows. So that by the time now they're at this level as an adult, they know my mother is not here to check whether I'm going to class or not, but I will go to class anyway, because they learned that freedom comes with responsibility. And freedom also comes with choice. And choices have consequences. And some of those consequences, the prices are too high to pay. So it starts little, when the child is little and as the child is growing. But when the child you can't even be allowed to talk to a boy who was just passing by a neighbor. Then when the child grows up, their mind is warped, even on things as simple as relating to the other person. So there should be a balance. Because when there's too much freedom and the parent is not there to give guidance, the child is going to get lost along the way. And other things will fill their spaces and their mind. When it's too rigid, then the child becomes very depressed. And then when they get that freedom, they really don't know what to do with it, or they harm themselves in the process. So I would say that as a parent, there should be a balance. It's not too much and it's not too little, and then it goes growing with as a child is growing, as a child is taught the responsibility and the choices that they can make, and also allow them to fail once in a while, so that they can learn that success comes with failure too. Thank you.
I really hope your question has been answered, Jewel. So our final question of the day is from Jessie.
Thank you, Ashiko, for another opportunity to ask a question. And my question goes again to you, Vicky. We know during, again, holidays is a time when these kids make friends. As a parent, how do you get to know what kind of friends they're making so that you bring them closer without necessarily creating conflict between you as a parent, your child, and their friends?
Thank you, Jessie, for that observation. I would say for parents, it's their responsibility to create a village that is going to produce these friends for their child. But in case you realize, or maybe you don't know your child very well, and you haven't started creating that village as a parent, then it's time to start creating it. But also allow the friends of your child to hang around your home, so that you get to know them. And this you're doing in a very friendly way, so that you don't chase them away before you get to know them. And as you get to know them, then you're at the backside talking to your child about some of the things you're seeing that may not be very good in that friendship. But also prayer helps. I know there are friends I've had to pray out of my children's lives because we were talking and I'm told she's my friend, and I'm not giving him or her up. And so I go on my knees and I'm praying and I'm talking at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Vicky. What about you, Ivana, briefly?
Yeah, I think for me, I'd feed off what Vicky was saying before, in terms of empowering your child to be able to make their own friends and make those choices. And for me, I think the guiding principle would be your family values. So in terms of what are your family values, have you have you taught your children these family values? Do they know how to check for these family values in other people? And I think even from how you make friends, because sometimes what they are seeing in your friendships is what they also borrow.
Yes.
So I think also model good friendships and model friendships that have friends who have good values and same family values as you. I think if you help them make that decision from the back end and then do what Vicky was saying about bringing friends there around them and then just trying to help them vet, you know, just showing them, does this person have one of the family values we have? Is this person like this? And you just help them make that decision without really necessarily saying, this is not a good person, this is, you know, asking them, do you think this is a good person based on what we believe in as a family? So I think that's what I'd say, and yeah.
Wow, that's actually really well put. I think, do they share the same values? So we have come to the end of another extremely exciting episode of Dadas Show. Not only was it our 100th episode, it is also an episode where we feel that we have had a lot of impact on parents who are at home, who are trying to navigate the school holidays. I'm going to give my wonderful panel an opportunity to give us a parting shot, and then we will call it an episode. Let's start off with you, Vicky.
Parents, the goal of parenting is for you to provide your child with a skill set to live independently of you at the right time, not when they are 40.
Yes.
To live away from you at that right time, which could be 30 years and going onwards. And so these skill sets will have beliefs, it will have values, it will have spirituality, work ethics, industriousness, autonomy, mental wellness, all this. So as a parent, you're not just raising your child for just this phase, it's for the future.
Yes.
And also, so what are you putting in for this future child? Remembering that now you're young, at that time you will be old. What kind of an adult will you want to see at that time? And let me finish by saying that what we don't transform, we transfer. So as a parent, if I am wounded, if I've had all these things that I've maybe talked about and you can realize that you're passing vices to your child, then it's time to have that sorted out, maybe therapy, mentorship, whichever, however way.
Yes.
So that you're transforming and passing great things to your children instead of the opposite. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Pearls of wisdom right there. What about you, Ivana? Give us a brief parting shot.
For me, I'd say to the young adults and teenagers, get to know yourself, understand yourself, and get people to understand you, express yourself in the best way possible. And for parents, I think get to know your child, get to know their skills gap, get to know what you can support them with to express themselves better, and I think you'll be happier during the holiday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I think we've got it covered. I think everybody is feeling happy. I hope even you at home are feeling happy. So we have come to the end of today's episode. And as always, let's keep this conversation going across all social media pages. Let's keep it going on Dadas Show, KBC on Facebook, KBC Channel 1 across all social media platforms, and Ashiko, the host, across all social media platforms. So on behalf of the production team at KBC, our location partner, Chester Hotel and Suites, myself, Ashiko Mbone, I wish you all a harmonious and peaceful school holiday, starting off with this week and following with all the other weeks. So bye for now. Until next time. Bye-bye.